boys. Can we get a round of applause for our brilliant technical support? You notice that I only do that really at the start of this so they don't completely cock up my presentation. Firstly, a note of apology for my absence last night. I do apologise sincerely. I wasn't just like in my room getting room service or whatever. I had a call, I'm just going to move this. I had a call from a lovely team of Republicans up in Riverside who had a room full of 600 great Conservatives in a room who'd kindly paid to be there, but yet no speaker. Their speaker pulled out with about 20 hours or so notice. So I decided I would go and be their speaker instead. I'm not sure they were surprised. I don't know if they were prepared, honestly. They were expecting Sebastian Gorka. And they got me. And you know, we're not at all similar in any way. At all. For the first thing, you know, I'm reliable. And for the second thing, I'm not still milking something I once did in 2016 and trying to make a career out of it. Yeah, he deserves it. It's okay. He's a big boy. He can handle it. Then, ladies and gentlemen, there was a draw, or what do you call it here, a raffle. You know, I called out the tickets and I had to give the prizes. Now, where I come from with a raffle, they usually give out something like, I don't know, a miniature cacti, shower gel, something someone found in the back of their cupboard, like an old cheese. Guess what I gave out last night? 2 AR-15s. What is not to love about America? Woo! I know. I was the one on stage going, you're not really. You're not really. They're like, yeah, just get on with it, Katie. This is normal. This is normal. We are not allowed to defend ourselves in my country with anything other than a bottle of hand sanitizer or some Clorox. But here you give out AR-15s for your raffle. It's just how this thing works. I am a fully signed-up member of the NRA, though. Most mothers, mostly quite pathetic in their pyjamas, do the school run with a nasty little sticker on the back of their car saying, baby on board, baby on board. You seen those stickers? You better not have one. If any of you have one, go and get it off your car immediately. Pathetic. Baby on board. What does it mean? What, is someone going to drive more carefully near you because you've got a baby on board? My car has an NRA sticker on it. And it has my own slogan that I wrote for it. Guns don't kill people, but I'm bloody willing to. We have much to celebrate today. USA unemployment is at a 50-year low, thanks to you guys, thanks to Donald Trump. And handily, all of those people who don't have a job are gathered in one place, just on Venice Beach. I went to visit them just the other day. So they're much easier to manage. You know, it's really good for us to laugh, isn't it? It's good for us to laugh together because we spend so much of our time being kind of really serious and about all of the hard truths we face. And there are hard truths out there. You know, I don't mock anything that we're up against. Our Western culture is threatened like never before. And I bring those truths from the road in less friendly parts of this planet. And the good news for us as well, from across the pond, is that Britain is making a comeback under Boris Johnson. All four corners of it. From England to Northern Ireland, from Scotland to Wales, Boris Johnson is putting the mojo back into Britain. And I couldn't be more pleased for him. If he can make it through these next few weeks, I believe there's hope for my country, and we will leave the EU on the 31st of October this year. It is going to happen. I am certain of it. The mainstream media are trying to befuddle people that it won't be happening. It is going to happen. In fact, I'm so certain of it, I have made a very public pledge. Some of you may know, story for another time, I'm sure, I used to be on the UK version of The Apprentice. I was a candidate, and I got to the end of the process, was offered the job and told the man to stick it up his arse, but only because he was short. My point is, they have a loser's cafe where you have to go if you lose the task. You know, they have tasks. If you lose them, you go to this cafe, you sit in it looking miserable, drinking a cup of tea and being generally quite mean about each other. That's what you're supposed to do. I have committed, if we do not leave the EU on the 31st of October, I will sit naked in the Bridge Cafe, drinking a sad cup of tea with a picture of Nigel Farage on each nipple. That is my public commitment to the planet. So you better bloody hope that Boris Johnson does as he promised, because that is not going to be a pretty day for mankind. Boris Johnson has committed an extra 20,000 police officers to put on British streets to try and reduce the shocking crime rates in London, where murders are the highest for a decade. He's also extended powers to stop and search. Now, if you look like a dodgy immigrant, you can be stopped and searched. Yeah, Sadiq Khan is in for a very rough time. In truth, this will just buy us some breathing space, you know. It's too late to change the overall trajectory of my country, where demographics alone dictate that I will be a minority white by 2035, and Islam, will be the most dominant religion in just a decade, where Mohammed is the most common boy's name, and Muhammad is the second most common child's name, and that isn't a joke in my country. If you stand in a school playground as a mother and yell the name Muhammad, 2,000 kids come running. I've tried it. They see me and they run the other way. And where Jews are actively forced out in my country, in Paris and in Germany, by Islamists. I wanted to play you this brief clip, if I may, of my latest documentary, Homelands, where I travelled from UK to Paris to Israel to document the truths of Jews and Christians being actively forced out and in many cases persecuted out of the countries in Western Europe. This is only a 2-minute clip, so don't fear that I'm about to play you 40 minutes of a documentary. Would you mind awfully? In Western Europe, a silent exodus is underway. There are huge changes afoot here, barely perceptible to outsiders. Across the UK and Western Europe, Indigenous people have watched their countries change beyond all recognition. This is a silent retreat of Jews and Christians from Western Europe.
Try and beat you down with that all the time, far right, you know, and it's not the case. I mean, when people like me, just working class English people, you just feel like a second-class citizen.
Saviltown's different.
Area for a white person.
Saviltown is a no-go area.
It's a no-go area for a white person.
Going to the synagogue on Yom Kippur, I passed a cafe in the street and 2 men came out and told me I'm a dirty Jew.
Katie, you are in trouble. And you are in a big trouble because you are not safe and we are much more safely than you. Sometimes, Katie, I ask, they don't have eyes, they don't have hearing, they don't see what's going on.
What we are heading for is a Muslim-dominated society that we cannot accept it. From this angle, it's a hellhole.
On September 1st, 1939, the Nazis invaded Poland, World War II began, but it didn't start on September 1st. And some Jewish communities in the world should treat every day, this might be September 1st, 1939.
In Germany, before the war, the pessimist ended up having a swimming pool in Hollywood, and the optimist ended up in Auschwitz. Being Jewish in Europe now, you can't be optimistic.
So I was fortunate to show that documentary, Homelands, in the heart of Jerusalem, thanks to the mayor of Jerusalem. We had a number of other, she's an incredible lady, I love her. She's also British. A couple of our venues prior to that were shut down by leftist Jews. And in fact, leftist Jews in the UK had Homelands removed from Amazon Prime because they find it offensive. One of my biggest adversaries in my attempt to allow Jewish communities to tell their truths is leftist Jewish organizations who are allied with the Muslim Council. But you know, Israel has so many things so very right. Firstly, it told Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar they were not welcome in Israel. I know. Which does rather beg the question, does it not, as to why America has failed to do the same. Secondly, it's built a stuffing great big wall all around its territories. Yes, 3 meters thick and 8 meters high to protect the border. It's tall enough such that a man cannot climb nor fall from it and walk away, and it extends far enough below the ground to block terrorists from tunneling underneath it. 3 meters thick, ladies and gentlemen, that is thicker than AOC. And Israel makes families accountable for their children as well. If your Palestinian son attacks an Israeli, the IDF will tear down his home and blow up your home too for raising such a beast. And I say more power to Israel for that. And finally, Israel is committed to national service, not as some sort of servitude, but as a shared endeavor to help build a country, hardwiring its values into its young. I believe Britain needs just the same, and we've just had our 9th year of military decline. There's so much that we could learn. You know, the official line in Israel is that the Dead Sea is the most dead thing on the planet. These people have never met Joe Biden. The Dead Sea is 200 meters below sea level. It is so low, it's thought to be the lowest place. These people have never been to the swamp in DC. But of course, this fight that we're upon is real and it is urgent. And for me now, it's about getting in the faces of the people who are complicit in our fall. The slow death of a country meted out by news editors and so-called journalists and media organizations and religious organizations who are complicit in the fall of the countries that we love. I recently spent time on your southern border, patrolling with a volunteer border force and talking to ranchers on the Rio Grande Valley. One gentleman, a rancher, a lovely elderly gentleman, he sleeps in his truck facing the border of his land where the wall ends and there's just a massive great gap. And he's taunted by the people and the human and the drug traffickers that go across his land. They say they'll kill him in his sleep, so he sleeps in his truck with his weapon at his side. This is the truth of your border. I also turned up at the Catholic Charities offices where they were receiving immigrants. They were particularly thrilled, as you'll see from this clip, when I turned up, just by chance, to record what was going on there. Inside, the vehicles that you will see were full of migrants being brought to your country by the border force. May I ask for you to play the second clip? Thank you.
Take pictures of this man.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Very simply. Their family members now know they're here. The people who they borrowed money from know they're here. And now they'll extort them for the money. So if you want to put them in danger, keep taking pictures.
Okay, so
put them in danger, keep taking pictures.
This is a Catholic Charities Centre. It's a respite centre for the illegals coming across the border. These are 1, 2, 3, 4 border patrol vehicles here to drop off people, I'm thinking. The lady is clearly upset that I'm taking this video of the vehicles arriving. She said if people know they're here, they'll come get them because they will extort money from them. So that is evidence, I guess, of the traffickers at work here. I'll stop this video now so we don't upset this lady any further. Okay, so that's a lady who works for the Catholic Charities, acknowledging on film that if people know that those migrants arrive, they will come and extort more money from them or their families. So they are actively maneuvering people that are trafficked into your country, making them complicit in the trade of human flesh paid for by your tax dollars. And these are the organizations working against us. This lady there from the charity made me delete the video from my phone, or she said she was handing me over to the border force. So I deleted a couple of ugly selfies of myself and then I went on my way. But it is incredible how willingly, we kneel down to the cultures who try to join us. instead of standing up for the Christian culture that they have chosen to join. Just as Britain continues to cow down before a religion seeking to change it beyond all recognition. How easily, we relinquish our freedoms, and yet how hard the fight to recover them once they are lost. New Zealanders queue to hand over their weapons as part of the state confiscation of weapons, just as brave Hong Kongers gather in their thousands to protest against a new law forcing extradition to mainland China for those suspected of committing an offence, and say they are willing to die for democracy. America must fight right now with the determination of the protesters in Hong Kong. If we are going to succeed in this, we must fight right now with the immediacy of the white farmers in South Africa also preparing to take a last stand or to die in their boots trying. I have spent time with them in their country. They are prepared to dig in. They say the same thing. They will die in their boots for the love of their land. And the time is now. The time for self-protection is gone. It is time for us to hold on to each other as we fight for freedom across this planet, from Hungary to South Korea, from Hong Kong to the UK, because this fight is lonely. I know it. I know many of you are shamed by your friends. I am mostly for just my clothing choices. Ostracized by children. Mine often don't speak to me. Uninvited to Thanksgiving dinner. Forced out from places that were supposed to love us unconditionally. Many even asked to leave their church or synagogue for things they've said. But you're not alone, because we are many. And your support for those of us with our head above the parapet is what keeps us going. The powerful have come for my stuff, obviously. They've come for all of my jobs. I was fired from my newspaper column and my radio show for wrong thought. They came from my home through lawfare. Then they came for my children. They report me to social services, and social services have to come and check on my children because it's their job. And in my country, if you have my kind of views, you're not allowed to adopt. So it becomes a kind of risky thing. And once they came for my children, actually we have a slide of this, if you wouldn't mind the newspaper column. A couple of jihadis came for my head. She was called Madiha Tahia, which is a beautiful British name, I think you'll agree. Along with her husband, she supported her husband's knife attack plot for my head because she said, it was a couple of them, they've gone to prison now, because she said I was the biggest bitch of them all. You better believe it, sister. Anywho. So they came for my jobs, they came for my home, they came for my head. But the establishment weren't quite done yet. If you don't mind playing the next slide. The establishment then funded a play, and billboards went up throughout the UK. And this was the name of the play. But it's so fine, because I'm still stood here, so let's all, everything's okay. So the government paid money for that musical to happen around the UK, and the left thought it was a jolly hoot. And this was after an assassination attempt and my house being rigged with panic alarms, and I had to explain to my 72-year-old mother why this was amusing for the left. But what I would say to you is, of course, none of this matters. This is nothing. This is nothing compared to the fight we are in. This is nothing compared to what my children, your grandchildren will lose in their lifetime. What country will we leave our little ones, or the little ones of our little ones? What good wealth in this life if there is a paucity of culture in the next? What good being liked by anyone if those who hate us take what is ours? You should leave this place today not intimidated by the darkness or fearful of the future, but elevated, inspired and proud of all that we can achieve together. You are part of this family fighting for freedom. We have the AFD, the Law and Justice Party, the Hong Kongers, Vox in Spain, Salvini in Italy, and Boris breaking Britain. And you have Donald Trump, and you have me. you've got me, which is a bit like getting a nasty rash you can't get rid of. But we are in this fight together. We are all one family. And I say, God bless this family. God bless the American Freedom Alliance. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much indeed for your time.